Hello, I'm Craig. That's my brother Brad. Welcome to Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Life is hard, but you can't give up. Let's have a conversation. Weekday, we're gonna make it today. Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Episode 113. Brad,
Yeah, Craig.
we made it.
Deep breath. We're still going.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't fallen apart yet.
Not yet.
That's fantastic. Craig, today is the beginning of August.
Yes.
It's my
Summer's winding
birthday-
down.
It's my birthday week,
That's right, it is.
August 5th,
Uh-huh.
5 times August Day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it.
That's right.
How
How old are you going to be? 38, 39?
You know, it's funny. I felt like I was 40 all year, but I'll
Mhm.
actually be turning 38.
Oh,
So I've gained 2 years. If you actually make yourself feel older, by the time your birthday comes around, it's a little trick I've picked up over the years.
oh.
If you round up a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
by the time your birthday comes around, then you're like, oh, wait, I am not that old. I'm actually younger. So then you get a little bit of oomph for the first half of your next year.
Man, did you see that yawn?
Yeah.
Golly, I'll tell you what, man. I am, and by the way, great tip. Great tip.
Thanks.
I went to a chiropractor the other day, and he
Yeah?
thinks that he can get my jaw back to 80% mobility.
Oh,
That'd be huge. I could
Yeah?
actually like open my mouth around
Could chew again?
burgers. Yeah,
Oh.
man. Hey, so big things happening in the world. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You want to continue with the August stuff?
well, yeah, you know what? I do have one more thing to say. On this day,
Mm-hmm.
August 1st, 1983.
Mm.
What was the number one movie in America, Craig?
1983. Porky's.
Oh, it's a good guess. It's not accurate.
Have you seen Porky's?
Yeah, long time ago, VHS tape. I think we all
Man.
saw it on VHS tape at some point.
Let me just say this: you watch 3 minutes of that movie today, it
Yeah.
would be canceled.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The beginning
man.
credits, you're like, out. We got to get this out of here. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the happy birthday wishes, Tai Tai. I appreciate that. No, the number one movie on this day,
Mhm.
in August 1st, 1983, I was almost about to be born, was E.T.
Oh, wow! Look at that.
The extra. Oh, this was 82. My bad. 1982. I wasn't born yet. I wasn't about to be born yet. I had a whole year. The reason I said 83 was because I wanted to do something here. I usually show you one movie, but I was scrolling through the movies here on playback.fm. This is where I
Uh-huh.
always get my
Mhm.
info. The number one movie on this date was or I'm sorry, the number one movie on August 1st, 1982 was E.T. 1 year later in 1983, National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh man,
I
that's great.
found out long ago.
Oh,
It's a long way back down a holiday road.
oh.
Holiday
that's good,
road. Okay, but then look, Craig,
Oh, sorry.
1984, 1 year later, August 1st, 1984, Ghostbusters. Boom.
Wow.
Ghostbusters. Then
Nice.
1 year later, one more for you. Back to the Future. Can you believe that? Boom,
Well-
boom, 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 every year. It's no wonder the 80s were the greatest.
1986 Teen Wolf.
No, 1986 was Aliens, which
Oh.
there you go.
I mean,
Another
come
cinema.
on. Well, keep going. I gotta find
Okay.
out.
Then the Living
Oh.
Daylights. Now that puts a little speed bump in
Oh.
there. Then you got Cocktail.
Okay.
Then you got
Batman.
nope. You got Parenthood with Steve Martin.
Okay, we're past the golden era here. Okay, this is
Then
good.
we got Ghost. So yeah, you see
Mm-hmm.
how great the early 80s were for cinema?
Mhm.
Man,
I mean, for
fantastic.
you know.
For great. Yeah. Well, here we are, and we're celebrating new Ghostbusters movie coming out this soon. Did you see the trailer for it?
Oh man, I did. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I welcome it for sure.
Real quick, I had a question in the chat. It says from Anomaly Gamer, a container says, "Hey Craig, I met Gamer from Mars on a Discord server, and he said you gave him access to the Screw Attack archives for him to make a documentary on Screw Attack. Is that true?" We had talked about him making a documentary about Screw Attack, but he has not reached back out to me about it. So I don't know what I have not given him access to anything because I don't have anything to give him. So
You're kind of doing a prolonged. Nice cup, Craig. Hold on. That's beautiful. It's a
Thanks.
beautiful piece of art. It's a watermelon, sparkly watermelon cup.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. You're kind of doing a Screw Attack documentary now on your channel.
Kinda.
We were kind of talking about that. Like a documentary would be great in 90 minutes, but you can tell so much more with what you're doing right now. You're kind of revisiting some of the Screw Attack videos and doing your reactions to it, which I think is kind of cool because it's kind of like the way Cobra Kai is set up in a way where like you get so much more out of the Cobra Kai's episodes from one to the next. You get this really long feature length thing where you get to dive into more of the characters and stuff. With you, your channel is just as great as Cobra Kai, is what I'm saying.
Love it. I'm just not making nearly the money that Cobra Kai is.
Well,
Hey, I'll tell you what though. Hey, can I just give it up? Give it up for YouTube with their new feature they have coming out. The what's it called? The super thanks.
yeah,
Oh man,
on YouTube. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope they give me access to the super thanks. If you guys haven't heard of the YouTube super thanks button yet, I've seen some channels that have it already. I saw it. I did a podcast the other day. I saw it on their channel, and I was like, "What is that button?" Super thanks. It's a way that you can click on a channel and just donate and give straight to the channel. The same way with super chats, but it's super thanks. You don't have to wait for them to go live to do it. So I'm crossing my fingers I get access to that because I need that like yesterday. And I'm sure you do too. Be a fantastic feature.
It goes down in the comments. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I could definitely use that. So super thanks. And until then, you can do super chats. You can do all this crazy stuff they do on Twitch, right? What do they do on Twitch, Craig? You say a lot of things, and I really don't ever know what's happening.
Bits.
Resubs, bits.
That's right.
Bits.
Bits and
Yeah.
resubs. That's right. They have bits over there, which are outstanding. Those are like the lifeblood of what allows me to stream. Subscribe. You can subscribe with your Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, links up with Twitch. You get a free sub. You can, which is awesome. You can subscribe to your 1, 2, or 3, which different variants of support, and and you can also directly donate. So it's pretty awesome. And on YouTube they have the super chats. There's a lot of ways to support in this crazy creation world. Speaking of support, Mike Fury came in with resubbing Prime with that Amazon Prime for 11 months. See, that's a big deal, Brad, because Mike has remembered every single month to use Mike's Prime sub on my channel for 11 consecutive months. That's amazing. He says, "What's up, legends?
Thing.
Hope everyone is well. Well, even though I haven't been on the daily live stream these days, as we get back to normalcy back at the office, Mike, I look forward to you getting back into streams. I'm actually looking at potentially doing, with the kids going back to school, I may actually do a little bit more streaming. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I'm just kicking around the idea in my noggin. We'll see how it all kind of comes together. My noggin. So we'll see what happens. So man, it's
that sounds like a jam band name.
Monoggin.
We're Monoggin. We're gonna play one song for the next 34 minutes and then go into another song that's an hour and 10 minutes.
That's right.
And that'll be the whole concert. Monoggin. Sweet.
Selena says school is out for 3 months. We had a real summers.
Yeah.
Well, Selena, that's great. I'll tell you, our summer seemed like it went by really fast, fast, because the kids are going back to school here in the next like 10 days. So
it catches up to you real fast.
It moves really fast.
It's kind of like the whole last year and a half have sort of all bled together, hasn't it? And then because we started homeschool last year, so our homeschool, end of homeschool, sort of bled into summer anyway, and now summer's coming to a close, and we're just still going. So it just is what it is.
It is what it is. Hey, you know what? It is what it is. Quite possibly the most important segment of the day, something that
Hmm.
drives the algorithm crazy.
Hmm.
It's about your comments. It's time for the YouTube comment of the day. All right, Bradathan, what do we have today? Oh, that's.
Bradathan.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Today's YouTube comment of the day comes from Esteban Garcia, who says, I did not get to listen to the whole thing last night live, like I said, but I'm listening to the whole thing this morning while I'm in the gym. Good on you for going to the gym and going on my walk. Good on you for going for your walk. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. You guys are literally the highlight of my week.
Wow.
The theme song never ceases to cheer me up and make me feel at ease with when my anxiety and depression is high. So, Esteban, we're so glad to be a part of your day and your week. Appreciate you tuning in. Keep taking care of yourself there. Sounds like you're doing a good job staying fit. You're doing more than I am.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Craig,
There
how
you
are
go.
your abs coming?
Coming along pretty good. Yeah, I had a really strong 2 weeks, and I really leaned up, and then I got hurt. I don't know if I told you, I hurt my shoulder, and I haven't, I haven't been able to lift because I hurt my shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and Kristen went back to work, so I've been playing dad, so I've been able to go to the gym for a week. So
Mm-hmm.
that really puts a damper on growing muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know what you do? You gotta start lifting things around the house while you clean the house or whatever. You
yeah,
lift up the dog
hmm
and you do a few bicep curls and set down the dog. You turn it into Karate Kid, really. We love Karate Kid on this show. You've
hmm
seen how they do it.
yeah, it's true.
Wax on, baby.
hmm
Wax on, wax off. Esteban, I'm going to give you 154 Craig and Brad points for no other
Nice.
reason than that's what rolled out of my mouth right now.
Congratulations, Esteban. Love it. And go work them abs. The YouTube comment of the day is what Esteban had. Congratulations. All right, awesome. Hey,
All right.
I have a segment we like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the big topic of today, which is
Yeah.
how are we all still alive?
Yeah.
You know,
How
I
are
don't
we all
even-
not dead yet?
Oh,
It's
okay.
a little more dark that way.
Oh, okay. Um, it's a segment we like to call "What are we doing? What are we doing today?" Tonight, speaking of abs, we went out and we had dinner tonight. It was the kids were over at grandma and grandpa's house, and they went over and hung out there for a little bit, and they were playing. So we had to get dinner tonight. We don't have a whole lot of food in the house right now. We had to go and go to the store. So we said, hey, well, let's go get some Panda Express. Once again, Panda
Okay.
Express, not the best for abs. Okay,
Mm.
but we went to Panda. Went inside to Panda Express, and I was like, I haven't tried that. May I try your beef and broccoli or whatever it was?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I'm sorry, we're not doing samples right now. And I said, oh, because of COVID. All right. And he goes, yeah, because of COVID. And then he said, what would you like? So keeping in mind that
Mm-hmm.
how do they serve you at Panda Express? They literally take their hand in and they scoop the stuff out and then they put it in a tray and then they hand it to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you cannot take the toothpick and then hand it over to you because
Right.
the same hand that is shoveling your food and at one point literally chopping the chicken, by the way, because there was there's they take the chicken out and then they'll slice it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just saw in a minute and
Yeah.
wasn't it several months ago that the CDC was like, look, can we just stop with this charade of like the whole touching thing, because it's like the
Yeah.
CDC said this and there's still all this plastic up at
Yeah.
places and it's like okay,
Yeah.
so it really just brought me back to the thought of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And the thing
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
the guy, when I said it to the guy, he was like with a straight face, he's like, yes. And I was like, oh, because you can't. And I actually said that to him. I was like, so you're not going to transmit me a disease from here to here, but when you shovel my food in and touch my chicken, that's safe. Okay, sounds good. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know this poor kid didn't make
Yeah.
this stupid rule, right?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, so
And they're just going along with it.
yeah, I know. And he's just like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Just take your chicken,
The
So
the entire existence right now is one big Seinfeld episode. It's like if that was a Seinfeld episode, he'd be like, so you can put your hand, you can't do 2 scoops. 2 scoops equals COVID. One
Yeah.
scoop, one big scoop, that equals COVID. Yeah, that's crazy. And those are the rules. That was something that stuck out in my brain the first time I went to Costco when they put up the big old plastic sheets of
Mhm.
stuff. And they were, you go around and you've got this big wall in front of you. But and we've talked about this before, but I'm putting the stuff on the belt, and then you're taking all the stuff off the belt, and then you're touching it all, and then putting it over there, and then somebody else takes it. What is the point of the plastic thing? Let's take them down, melt them, create a gigantic scoop so we can scoop up all the billions of masks in the ocean.
Right.
And
What was that thing about? It's gonna take like 500 years or something like that before all the
yeah,
masks dissolve or
billions
whatever.
of masks floating in the ocean. Somebody had suggested that, because I was like, what are we going to do with all the plastic stuff too? And they were like, we should melt them down and make a gigantic scoop that's created just for masks for the ocean. And that's what we need to do. That's how we need to recycle all this stuff.
Here, Mike says, I feel at this point we're just in one big social experiment of who can recognize the irony in these quote unquote rules and those who just follow along with them like sheep, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh,
Moosh feeling so sad for our ocean. Oh, Moosh. So
yeah.
sweet.
I completely overlooked this when we were talking about tonight's show, but I watched a little made for TV movie this week called The Wave. You can find it on YouTube. It was made in 1981. It was like an
Mhm.
after school special. If you have not seen The Wave, this is the required viewing of our time. This is based on a real story. 1967 school in California. This teacher had a student who was teaching about the Holocaust and stuff, and teach about Germany. And the student asked, how did so many people go along with something like this and not know anything bad was happening? And he couldn't answer it. So he created this whole class project where he created a group called The Wave. And he gives the kids instructions, and they all get into it, and they have a symbol. And pretty soon, the school, I don't want to spoil it, but
You can spoil it.
the whole school gets absorbed in The Wave. But the girl who writes for the school newspaper doesn't feel comfortable with it anymore. She wants to get out. And then the people who are in The Wave are like, you can't say those things about The Wave in the school newspaper. And she's like, I'll say whatever I want. And it's verbatim, almost exactly what 2020 and 2021 is right now, with people who disagree with The Wave, whether it's masks or plastic planks or whatever you want it to be. It's awesome. Go watch The Wave. It's old. It's kind of corny at times. It's like a the video that's on YouTube is like a copy of a copy of a copy of a VHS tape. So it's really bad quality, but it's a fun watch, and it kind of makes it a little bit more intense, anyways, to see it that way, because it builds towards the end. So you got to check it out.
Who dies? How does it end? Tell me.
Nobody dies.
Nobody's gonna watch this. Just tell me how it ends.
You guys are going to watch it. So the whole school gets absorbed into The Wave, except for a couple of the other students, and they want to tell everybody, you're being lied to. It's people are getting hurt now. And the guy, I made a little short version of this that's on my Twitter, but she's like, people are getting hurt now from this. And he's like, so what if a few people are getting hurt? It's for the greater good, for The Wave. And then the whole school's absorbed in it. They all meet. The teacher pulls them all into the auditorium. He tells them that they're a part of this big experiment nationwide, and a big political leader is going to show up at the school to let them know about how they're going to be a part of this great big movement. And all the kids get into the auditorium. They pull out the TVs, and they're all sitting there waiting and waiting. And then guess who shows up on the TV, Craig?
Ronald Reagan.
No.
Oh.
Hitler. And he's like, there's your leader. And they're all like, no. It's amazing.
Oh man.
So spoiler alert, even though I already spoiled it, but you got to check it out. It's fantastic
So
for
the kid,
1981s.
so
So all the
all
kids
the
like,
kids feel like, oh, we've
yeah,
been duped.
yeah. And like there's like a kid in the class and he's like the outcast at the beginning, but then he
Uh-huh.
gets involved in the wave and he feels involved and he wants to be the teacher's bodyguard and stuff. And then
Right.
at the end he's crying and he's like, "Oh gosh, what have I done?" It's good. That's my review of The Wave,
Maybe
1981,
maybe
made
we
for
should
TV.
do mandatory the wave watching.
Yeah.
Should we do a, commentary on the wave?
Maybe we could do that next week. It's 45 minutes. It's a 45-minute made for TV thing, and I don't think we'd get copyright strikes for it at this point.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. But it's like recorded. It's clear. It has like little like VHS like glitches,
Mhm.
and then for a moment you see a part of a commercial. That
It,
blips in.
it's been a long time since I've done a commentary, a live commentary. Maybe
Yeah.
let's do that next week.
Okay.
Let's
do
set
that.
aside time to do a wave commentary, live commentary. That'll
Yeah.
be the entire show,
Mhm.
episode 114. I think that sounds
Okay.
pretty fun.
That sounds great. We should do
got it
that.
booked.
I already downloaded it, and the largest file I could download from YouTube, it was like this big.
Uh-huh.
So like when you pull up videos like that,
Right.
the aspect ratio is not going to be that great. If we blow it up that way, it's only going to get more
That's
blurry.
funny.
But we should do that. That'll be fun.
That's funny.
Everybody get involved in the wave.
CDI
Craig,
says, I'm not joining the wave. Good for you, CDI.
stay away from the wave.
Oh, man,
But there are
that's
so
awesome.
many parallels in that. It's an important watch for today, I
All
think.
right.
That's
All
my
right. All
opinion.
right. Well, how were you exposed to the wave?
A girl that I follow on Twitter had shared it. I can't remember her name right now. What is her name?
That's okay. That's all you need to know.
Well, she has a podcast, Unsafe Space.
Okay.
You can
Sounds
check that
good.
out. But I can't remember.
Awesome.
So-
Hey, Soccer wants to know, what do you think of Scarlett Johansson suing Disney? I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff happen. Did you hear about this?
I heard, but I don't know why she sued him.
So ScarJo,
Oh,
that's her nickname. ScarJo is suing Disney because they essentially said they pretty much released the Black Widow movie on Disney Plus and in theaters, and it was supposed to be just to have when part of the thing was it was supposed to be just a theatrical release, and then guess what? Disney Plus it, and they said, guess what? It's going to be on premium access or whatever it is, and there you go. So
she's
that's
mad
how it
about
works.
that?
So she's mad about it. She's going to sue because part of her earnings were tied to a theatrical release. So, and I think that stuff is bound to happen for sure, sure. But it is what it is. It is what it is, and I think you'll see a lot of that for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Bomb Chew Soup, thank you so much for the follow over on Twitch. Appreciate that. So it makes sense. I have not seen. Let's see, what's the most recent movie I saw? In the most recent new movie, I knew the girls saw the new Boss Baby movie, but I haven't seen any movies recently. So I don't know. Maybe I'll need to go and check one out sooner than later.
The last movie I saw was that Tom and Jerry movie in the movie theater.
Oh yeah,
The new Tom and Jerry movie. We talked about that on the show. Now, I did watch a movie last night. Do you want to know what movie I watched last night?
what's that?
Throw Mama from the Train with Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito and that old lady. You remember
that
that
old
movie?
lady, yeah,
And that
and
old lady.
old lady.
Yeah, I don't think I had ever seen it before, and I was talking to our mom about this, but we both really like watching movies that just old movies now. Anything prior to like the digital era, like where the main character's typing on typewriters. It feels like a break. It's like the only way to get a break from right now our current climate is to just put on an old movie that existed long before all this stuff.
So, soccer. I think I'm with soccer right here. It says the next movie I'll try to see in theaters will be Jackass Forever. Have you seen the? Yeah, I showed you the trailer for that.
Yeah. We talked about it on the
man.
last show. When does that come out again?
Sooner. I think it's in like November or something. So
Okay.
I think I do want to go see Jackass in theaters
Yeah.
because it looks awesome.
I'll be seeing Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only movie I'm excited about.
Blah Almond says, my dad tells me to watch this movie called 1984 because it's kind of similar to how things are becoming.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a book before it was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Cliff Notes version, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Yes, for sure.
That's why a lot of people, you might hear COVID 1984 being floated around out there. A lot of people have been saying that. Very similar.
So, we got what are we doing? We talked about it's your birthday this week. That's exciting. Do you have any plans?
I have no plans.
Okay.
The older I get, you just know your birthday's coming up and then it goes away.
There you go. Okay, so by the way, October 22nd, 2021 is when Jackass Forever comes out.
Okay.
So, excellent. So what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about why we're all not dead yet?
Yeah, I do, because I've had so many conversations over the internet over like the last 8 or 9 months. And everybody's arguing, I've got these stats. What about this data? Don't you believe in this science? What about these numbers? You don't know anything. I like that the widescreen shot shows that I've got my vacuum here. Not that anybody would have noticed that, but it's nice.
Well, I like your vacuum.
I've got a vacuum over there.
See,
so anyway,
I got to be honest, it kind of looks just like some futuristic thing over in the corner with the light on it.
yeah, it's actually my my proton pack.
Oh,
I have a real proton pack for.
okay. There you go.
So anyway, so all these conversations. no, real life. Get it out of my cool setup here. So all these conversations over the last, 8-9 months, people arguing back and forth. It's easy for everybody to say, look at this. Well, I've got this. I'm trying to narrow things down and go, okay, look, life has been going real fast. We've been told to do a lot of things over the last year and a half. A lot of crazy things that we've all, shut down your business, take the kids out of school, wear a mask to and from your table at the restaurant, but it's okay at, all these little things, so much so that this is where we're at right now. Okay, look, this I saw right before we came on today. There's this example, coronavirus update. Parents need to keep distance from their children. Okay, so now we're at this point now where parents can no longer keep distance from their children. Not only that, here's a tap room in London where the rules are no handshaking, high-fiving, or extended eye contact. Okay, stay with me here. You can now no longer, you might catch COVID if you stare at somebody for too long. That is how deep into this thing we are, okay? Now, I don't care what your data says, what your science says, what graph you're going to show me, what website it comes from. I need you to think about this, okay? Because we all like to pretend we're scientists, but we're not, okay? I get caught up in it too. I get to say, hey, look, I understand, and it's fun. But I want to treat this scenario in the most layman terms as possible, and with just perspective. Okay, now we're at the point where tap rooms are saying what? No extended eye contact. It's too dangerous.
And what does that mean, by the way? Like,
I think
what's
it's
extended?
I think it means if you're sitting there and you're like, hey, yeah, it's good to see you, and you don't want to look too long.
Is it one of these things where as you have the conversations, you look at them, then you look up and down, or is it like this where you look at them like this, then you just constantly get wider and wider and wider to where you can't even go, and it just turns into a staring contest the entire time.
And that's when the COVID strikes. It creates right in between you, and then it zaps one of you. Yeah. I've been COVID. COVID did. So, look, obviously, like we're getting a little crazy. 2 people maximum in our toilets at one time. Wait, what? I just pulled that up. I saw that in the chat. That's also on this tap room. 2 people max in the toilets at one time. But also don't look at each other too long. So we're real deep into this thing, okay? We've had mandates from city to city, state to state, all around the world. Meanwhile, now I want you to keep all that stuff in mind. Okay, this is the stuff that drives me crazy with everything. Meanwhile, okay, this is going on around the world. Okay, super spreaders. Not these are just from the past few days. This is Australia, Germany, France, and that one on the bottom right is Chicago, where Mayor Lightfoot decided to postpone the COVID restrictions so they could have Lollapalooza. So this coronavirus is so serious. On one hand, we've got to close down schools, we got to close down our jobs, we got to be careful walking into restaurants, but we can, and this is with the additional stress of the Delta variant, mind you, we can have the concert. Okay. Now, these events have been happening all year long. Go back to July 4th of 2020 when everybody said, hey, you can't get together on 4th of July, right? It's going to be a super spreader event. And then it's going to cause trouble for the rest of the country and then the rest of the world, right? That's the whole point of these insane measures that we're taking, these restrictions and measures, these mitigating risk factors. But we've had super spreader event July, super spreader event Thanksgiving, super spreader event Christmas time, super spreader event Happy New Year's. Texas opens up. Super spreader. We're all going to die. We were told here in Texas, March, 100%, opening up 100%, we're all going to die. So we're all taking these crazy measures. Meanwhile, you got the selfish people, the anti-mask, anti-vaxxers people, the super spreaders, the people holding events. These events, based on what we're told to do, should absolutely, unequivocally be creating so much harm for the rest of the world. Why are we not all dead yet? That's my question. That's the one I'm asking. I don't care what you show me from now on. Why aren't we all dead yet?
Brad, I'm sorry. Breaking news. I have actually uncovered footage of what happens when you have extended eye contact with somebody at a pub. Let's go to the footage right now. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, no!
This is it! No! Oh no! Oh crap! Okay, there you go. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you saw that.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for that incredibly important public service announcement.
Just wanted to make sure. This is it right here. Here's the end result.
All right, everybody, look. This is serious.
And if keep looking. Stop! Oh no!
Shoot! Your face explodes in your or melts, depending on who you are.
Just throwing it out there.
One is the Delta variant. One is the Alpha. Face melt. Delta. Right there.
Oh my god, that's awesome. That's great. Hey, look at Winterfell came in, gave you some money. Says, it says no idea what you're talking about. Camping in the mountains of Wyoming. Don't have audio. cheers to the good brothers. Long may you reign.
Thank you, Winterfell. Appreciate it. Yeah.
There you go. You can't see it. All right, cool.
Dang.
So real quick, Tai says lots of people have died, Brad, and are dying, Brad.
Yeah, I know. But you would think that based on all the measures that we're told to take and the fact that so many people are ignoring them, it would be an insurmountable, what's the word I'm looking for? Insurmountable.
Like you're a doctor or something.
If I don't know. What do I know? A super big group of people. It would be so much that it would be, you would not have to convince people through donuts to get the vaccine, right? There's a lot of pushback against that. So I'm just saying it would be clear. We would all feel the impact. You have half the world, right? It's not just the United States. You look at what happened in France over the weekend, Germany today. Those are like, we compare. I've had this argument with people, conversation. Let's.
You can say argument. There's a difference between argument. There's a difference between argument and conversation. Sometimes
Well,
you
they
have
come in
arguments.
with the argument. They come in all angry, right? So if you bring up like the BLM protests last year, the response is, well, they were all wearing masks and socially distancing. And I'm like,
Really? It sure
on.
doesn't look like it.
like, come on. Okay, you want it? Okay, if I give you that, look at all the freedom rallies from around the world. If you watched my latest music video, it's clips from over the last 6 months from freedom rallies all around the world, London, France, everywhere, all around the world, so many places. And you would think that collectively, it would have just made it crazy. We would literally all be dead. There'd be like, based on what they are telling us to do, the measures that we're taking, compared to the amount of people that are going out and ignoring them, I'm just saying, I feel like we should all basically be dead by now. So that's my question. And when I ask people this question, I have not gotten an answer yet. Now I've been getting all sorts of I've been called all sorts of names over the last 6 months and stuff like that. And people will say, oh, you're acting like a crazy conspiracy theorist and things like that. But I'm just asking questions. That's all. And I just am wondering, why doesn't it add up?
So I was doing some math as we were talking about this show. I was really thinking about it, and I was like, you were talking about this show, and you want to know why we're not all dead, and Tai, asking, well, people are dying, right? So I wanted to really think through this and how this would look, and I did a little research here, just based off of some really basic COVID stats, okay? And the big thing we've been talking about is herd immunity. Herd immunity. We got to get to be, and according to the CDC, herd immunity at COVID is between 70 and 90%. Now, that 70 and 90%, by the way, the difference between that 20% is about 66 million people. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. That 20% is a lot of people. I did some digging, okay, and this is how my brain works as far as how all this goes. So just give me a second, and we'll all, we'll use the crazy math GIF, here with the equations and all that stuff. Just kind of roll with me here.
Okay.
So I went in and I was like, hey, how many people are in the United States? Now, I obviously understand COVID is a global thing. I get it, right? But I'm just going strictly off the United States here. 330 million people in the United States, okay? So 330 million people in the United States, that's our baseline figure, okay? I was like, well, how many cases of COVID-19 have there been, right? And according to the CDC, this is off cdc.gov, the estimated COVID-19 infections is 1 out of every 4 infections were reported, okay? So that means 1 out of 4 of everything that you see on the COVID-19 cases here, all this stuff, this is 1/4 of the estimated numbers that they indicate are real, okay? So 1 out of 4, so they're saying 120 million total infections of COVID, 120 million people of the United States, okay? So 330 million, 120 million of them have been hit by COVID. Now, when you come down here and you say, well, what's the percentage that have been vaccinated, right? So the percentage of people that have been vaccinated in the United States as of July 31st is 58.2% of 330 million. That is 192 million people that have been vaccinated in the United States, okay? 192 million. So we'll just do some basic math here, some really basic math, okay? 330 million. Now, I realize there's going to be some cross-section here. 330 million minus 192 million vaccinated people minus 120 million cases of COVID, right? That leaves you with a grand total of 312 million out of the, once again, I understand there's going to be crossover. I'm just looking straight at the numbers here, though. That's 312 million out of 330 million people if you're just going based off of the number vaccinated, number of COVID cases, once again, I understand there's Venn diagrams, some crossover there. So 18 million people have not been affected by COVID in some way, shape, or form in the United States. So 330 million minus 312 million. I feel like I'm doing Scott Steiner math here. Keep in mind that 22.6% of the United States is children. Okay, so 73.6 million of the 330 million are children. Okay, so all of that, just looping all those numbers together, how we're not somewhere in between that 70 to 90% of herd immunity, according to the CDC, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, also,
I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's the thing I'm just trying to really wrap my head around is how out of the 330 million, if we've had 192 million people vaccinated, we've had 120 million COVID cases, right? And we're still seeing, yes, we all understand COVID's a real thing. People have died from COVID. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. But once again, the damage that is done, not just physically, I'm talking about psychologically, financially, I'm talking about in the economy, because of the things because of COVID, they're not measurable. You cannot measure the impact that this has had based off of the lockdowns and the thumb that's being slowly pressed down on decision makers. The companies saying you have to get vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated, otherwise you can't work here. That's crazy. You know, I heard the analogy the other day. Could you imagine? You know, the big thing you hear all the time: my body, my choice. Cool, great, awesome, right? And could you imagine if Disney, who is mandating all of its employees to get vaccinated, could you imagine if Disney said, look, if you get pregnant, you cannot have an abortion? Or if they said, look, if you get pregnant, you must have an abortion. It doesn't matter. Either way, my body, my choice, right? So it doesn't make sense. The idea that in any employer throwing that, and that, please tell me if that analogy is far off, but that's the analogy that I hear in my head. And I heard that and I was like, okay, that makes sense. So please, if that's off, please tell me. I really legitimately would love to hear your perspective on that. So, anyways.
Yeah.
So yes. So I saw this headline here real quick. I Googled top reasons for death in the U.S. 2021, right? And I saw this real quick and talk about like a fear headline here, all right? COVID-19 continues to be a leading cause of death in the U.S. in 2021. Okay, like, okay, yeah, that's really unfortunate. This is for the number of deaths in June. Okay, heart disease #1, cancer #2. By the way, still don't have that. Still don't have that cure. Right? Still
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Accidents, stroke 451. In 5th place, we have chronic lower respiratory disease. I don't even know what that is. What? Okay. Number 6 is Alzheimer's disease. Right? COVID is behind Alzheimer's.
So we have 6 pandemics ahead of COVID.
Right. And then at 7, number 9, like diabetes, by the way, which is ravaged and destroyed the country and for years and years and years, just based off people eating sugar every day. Right, that's number 8 and has been for on there forever. Number 9 is simply other diseases of the respiratory system. Like they're so insignificant that they're just listed as other.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me. Yes, just other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Well, those are great. That's great math, Craig, and those are great charts. But I don't want to have any of it. That's the point of my conversation, though. Is like, I want you to remove that, because you could show those to people and you could lay it out for them and say, what's going on here? Well, and then they'll pull out their graphs and their charts that they have, and they'll say, well, this came from this. This is my source, and I want us to start clearing that out, because the argument always gets down to this. Well, you're not a science. I had somebody tweet me today who said, like something like, "You're an idiot. You don't understand science." And I posed this question: why aren't we all dead yet? And everybody that responded was like, "Look it up, you dummy." And I'm like, well, you're telling me I don't understand because I'm apparently looking at the wrong information. I thought you had the information. So I want to take out the idea of information and look at it strictly from perspective and experience, right? That's what I think we should start doing, is honing in on, like, can we just stop pretending like we're all mathematicians, which, by the way, Craig, good job on your math. I cannot
It's just
confirm or
numbers.
deny that those numbers were correct, because they all go through me. But my point is, I feel like we need to pull back, right? The internet makes us all scientists and wizards and overlords of each other. But if we can think about what we have been asked to do over the last year, and the pressure of in all seriousness, down to the point, like I said, that you really need to start thinking about how long you're looking at people. You really need to think about how much time you're spending with your kids. You need to distance yourself from your kids.
Well,
You contrast that with all of these events that have been going on all year. It doesn't make sense to me. I want an answer for that. How are we all not dead?
well,
You
look,
would
we
think
all
that, like, there'd be 5% of the world would be left at this point.
we all know what happened when you stare at people for too long. That's right.
Oh gosh, nightmares. Yeah, you're right.
All
You're
right.
right.
So real quick, some from the chat, real quick. And once again, if you have a different perspective on this, please, legitimately, I would love to hear it. Like, please, let's talk about this. I want to hear your perspective on this. Fire it out there. Let's see. Cliff says neither administration created the vaccines. Big Pharma did. Just saying. This is true. I think it's fascinating to see kind of the step back of, these vaccines were put it with, what was it called? Hyper speed or something like that.
Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah, warp speed or something. And this was a Trump doing. Trump invested a bunch of money into these vaccines, and now Biden and Harris both prior to the election were like, "There's no way I'm taking this bad boy."
Right.
And then the election comes, is like, everybody, vaccines for all, right? So, and I just find that fascinating that they can speak. I mean, it's the politician way, right? The idea of speaking out both sides of your mouth, and how short of a memory people have when it comes to, those things. But I think that's really, that's the thing that's scary. So Mike Fury says, we're in a situation where my wife doesn't want the vaccine, and there's now a potential where she may be financially held hostage in a sense to take something against her will. Scary times. That's messed up.
Right.
Like,
Walmart, Disney World, they're all making their employees get the vaccine, or else they'll have to just go and find another job, which is interesting, because I made this point the other day. I was saying, like, you're starting to see these reports come out from, valid sources saying that those that have been vaccinated can still spread. We're seeing that in the news still. And so it just seems like, okay, you're going to force all these employees at highly congested places with a lot of people. Walmart, day in, day out, in contact with well, okay, I take a step back. We have those plastic dividers now. But what about Disney World? I guess they're probably requiring masks like crazy as well. But my point is,
I don't think so. I think the mask mandate is done in Florida.
no, they'll be back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, in Texas, it's pretty fascinating, right? The governor, our Governor Abbott, has said that if any school district tries to impose any sort of mask mandate, like the school district will be fined. And I'll be interested to see kind of if any schools want to toy with that. It's literally money out of their pocketbook. So,
well, I think that the narrative of this is all about health is really starting to wane on a lot of people. Now, before we logged on, and I'm not even going to show this, I saw a clip of I mentioned Germany today. Germany today had huge protests. Their law enforcement over there, I saw a video of this kid getting shoved down by police officers, a child, a minor. Now, I don't have any context of it other than the kid's already on the ground. He's sitting up, and the police officer, there's two, it looks like two kids, and he shoves this kid. And I'm like, is that an example of this being for our health? Like, or is that an example of this being about control? This, because that's the conversation right now. That's brewing.
I think that's number one. That's obviously a bad look for Germany to have some sort of oppressive state, right? But at the same time, I choose not to put a whole lot of stock into 6-second long videos on YouTube. You know,
but it's a child. It's a child.
I know. I look, for all we know, but look, Brett, all I'm saying is, for all you know, maybe that child stabbed the officer in the leg 10 seconds ago. You know, I don't know. You don't know. Well, I'm just saying, you don't know. You don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, and you're right, but I don't know.
I'm
clearly like
that.
I understand. It's a terrible clip. So I'm just saying, like, that's not about health. Clearly.
No, I get it. Real quick, some points here, real quick. Lavnia Well says, we're not all dead because the job of the virus isn't necessarily to kill the host, but to replicate and spread. Viruses that are good at killing hosts aren't good at spreading Ebola. Viruses that are great at spreading COVID kill way less people than something like Ebola. Right. So once again, we're locking down our entire society, right? Our entire society for something that kills a super. Did you see the New York Post cover? Did you see that? You talk for a second. I'll find it. Hold on. Talk for a second.
Yeah. Well, Tai says, should we have done nothing, Brad? Just ignored it? Seriously? How should this have been handled? Well, don't ask me how it should have been handled. If we never wore masks, if it never did anything to stop the spread, is that what you want? Yeah, that's what I want. I wanted us all to just go and get sick. No, at the beginning of all this, I think you got the best that you were going to get out of America, okay? At least America. I don't know how it was in other countries, and I'm not going to say how it should have been handled, but you got what you got out of America, okay? Everybody complied as best they could. Some didn't comply right from the get-go. They were never going to. Others complied, and then they started falling off as the longer this thing went. But you got the best you're going to get. And they're talking again already. We got 2 weeks to slow the spread in some places. Okay. Again, it's a rehash. We've already done this episode. Okay. We've seen it. Okay. You're not going to get better than before. You got what you got. Okay. Now, I don't have the answers. I'm asking simply, why are we not all dead yet compared to all of the restrictions, compared to all of the mandates, especially when you compare heavily mandated states to not heavily mandated states? The charts are virtually identical.
So speaking of charts, let me show you this picture. This was I saw this passing around, and I think people work better visually, right? A visualization is very important for a lot of people, right? Everyone sees these graphs of COVID. You know, when you look at COVID cases, you know, you see things like this, you know, and you're like, oh man, oh my gosh, you know, it's so high, it's crazy, right? But in reality, like, if this was put in perspective of the number of people in the United States, you know, this would be a tiny little bump in the road, right? Mm-hmm. Here, check out, this is the cover of the New York Post. All right, these squares equal 161 million vaxxed U.S. residents. Okay, here it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, of those, this tiny 5,601 caught the breakthrough COVID and were hospitalized. Okay, that tiny little red spot in there, which is right here. And just 1,141 died, or 0.0007%. Right? And I think, like, that visualization is really important, you know? So now it's time to lock everything. Like, you can't even see the yellow dot here.
Right. Mhm.
You know, I'm curious
Yeah.
if they actually have the yellow dot on this. Like
Yeah.
it's it's so it
It's a pixel. It's smaller than a pixel on your
right.
computer screen. You
So
can't even see it.
visualization, I think, is really important for people.
Right.
So because of that, we should stop everything we're doing again.
Hmm.
So
Now, Tai Tai asks, well, you talk about how stupid masks and plexiglass and vaccines are. What isn't stupid? So, I the situation with masks and vaccines and plexiglass, I like to point out the ridiculousness of it. Okay. Now, what is stupid about all that stuff? I don't know. Walking into a restaurant and putting on your mask just to walk 3 feet and then sit down and take it off. That's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
and real quick, I want to say I don't think the vaccines are stupid. I think the vaccines have done a lot of really good things for a lot of good people, right? I just think that you should be able to pick and choose what if you want to put it in your
That,
body. That's it.
right.
That's the only thing I'm saying. Like if you want to put the vaccine in your body, put the vaccine in your body. I just don't
Right.
think it should be mandated.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's the narrative too. Is that like with vaccines, even some people can't get them, don't want them. You have to let them go. You have to let them be. My family has been impacted by it. It's a personal decision. Our decision is not just made over the last 3 months or 6 months. Our decision's based on 8 years of what I've seen through my children with their early vaccinations. So, these decisions, person by person, that is what's stupid, is forcing people who don't want it to have it. That's what I think. When you see Joe Biden offer, he's talking about $100, giving $100 flat out. Here's $100. Take the vaccine. Just pay. Just start paying people. We're at the point where we just got to start flipping the bills out. That's stupid to me. It shouldn't be that. What's the word I'm looking for? That pathetic almost. All these freebies and everything. That's what I'm saying. Based on the restrictions. So this is where I'm at. You take out all of your graphs again. You've got all these restrictions, mandates, masks, vaccines, plexiglass. Then you've got all of the selfish people that aren't doing it, and super spreaders and all that. That should make us all dead. And then what was the other question? I just lost my train of thought. I was going, and then I thought, and then I stopped.
I don't know. I'll take it from here real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Lavnia says it was poorly handled at the beginning for sure. Some of it's because the denial of seriousness, and the others because we didn't have the necessary infrastructures, masks, vaccines, and not doing a better job protecting the vulnerable. I don't think anybody. Look, we're in Texas. All right, Texas is probably one of the least I don't know for sure. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna guess probably one of the least vaccinated states in the union, right? I'm just gonna throw it out there. When in March 2020, people were petrified of this thing. The idea that people weren't taking this thing seriously is a flat out lie, right? Because people did take this thing very seriously. But then messaging was inconsistent. That's really what it comes down to. Well, you don't need to wear a mask. No, you do need to wear a mask. Well, you can wear a mask if it's like this, but now you need a double mask. Well, actually, you don't need a mask. Now, everybody, let's remask again, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I don't think it was a matter of people not taking this thing seriously. People took it extremely seriously because we didn't know about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a year and a half of data, a year and a half of hard data now about this virus, right? Who it affects, who it doesn't affect, how it affects them, how it doesn't affect them, And obviously every case is different because every body is different. But for the most part, at any point, we know that people over the age of 65 are affected considerably worse, right? And as you get younger, considerably less. This is it's like the stat of how many people have died how many people have died in the United States from COVID under the age of 18 since the start of this? Like 350 kids. 350 kids. Like, what? Like, that's it? It just,
Yeah.
It's like I'm sorry. Like I know that we've had people in our community that have been affected by this. You have been affected by this. I have been affected by this. I had a friend I just found out yesterday nearly died because of it. Right? I found out yesterday. Longtime friend. I mean, I hadn't been kept in touch with him in a while, but I found out that he nearly died. Right? You know. Now, I would also like to point out that he has tremendous comorbidities. Right? Overweight, diabetes, all these things, but he's okay. He survived. You know. The one thing that we should be saying is, instead of locking ourselves down, it should be getting yourselves healthy. Get yourself to a point to where you can be healthy and have a healthy body, to where these diseases, these viruses they're not going to affect you as much. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've seen. That's what the data says.
Yeah. I have some neighbors that are two older women, and they're right in the mother is right in the pocket of the most vulnerable to COVID, and she got it. She was at the hospital. She just came home. She's got oxygen. But they are not for the vaccine. They're very strict on health. They eat, all the organic stuff. They're very conscious of all that, and they got it. So I'm kind of paying attention to them right now, because I'm like, they're really close by, and I'm curious to know, there's this whole labeling thing that's going on, right? Like if you're pro-choice, you're basically anti, right? If you want people to have their mind, if you don't want people to have their mind made up, then you're just a straight up anti. And that's not the case, right? Like, I have two neighbors. They're right in the pocket of being vulnerable. They don't want it. They don't want it. So are they selfish? Are you going to call them selfish? They're dealing with it right now. So I don't know. I'm just curious. There's so many different stories out there that you can't just lump everybody together and just keep labeling it.
And Tai, I love your other perspective on this, right? And Tai had I want to make sure I read this properly. He says, okay, so we've been letting people choose, and now we have a mutated strain because not enough Americans chose to get vaccinated. Well, first off, the mutation of the strain did not come from America, right? It originated overseas, correct? Right, and then it came over. It was just a matter of time, right? I believe it originated over in Europe. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone said. I don't know that for a fact, but I know for a fact it did not originate in the United States. So to say because Americans didn't do this, that's not accurate at all. Number two, are you going to get upset that everybody who doesn't get a flu shot every year? Because guess what? The flu, every single year. I know bringing up the flu and COVID is taboo. You shouldn't do that, all right? Because that's what the anti-vax people say, right? That's not, once again, I think you should be able to choose. I feel like I need to say that every single time.
You can't say that, Craig.
I know.
Anti.
I'm a horrible person, and I get it, all right? With that said, every year, the flu mutates. Every year, it's a different flu. Every single year, it's changed. Right? Mm-hmm. And every year you get that vaccine, that booster shot for the flu, guess what? They're taking a guess. They're taking a guess that that's what they think the flu is going to be like. Right? That's the whole premise of the flu vaccine, right? So are you going to yell at everybody who doesn't get a flu vaccine? Because they're keeping the flu around? What's preventing the flu should be gone by now. But it's killing people. It kills people every single month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Pirate Tomsky, 5 pounds. Thank you so much. Says, this is a true test of our values. When was the last time in history where we sacrificed our young to protect our old? That's what we've done. Yeah, that's the thing, is so much is happening so fast, and we're being pummeled. Remember at the beginning of the vaccine talk, it was we just got to make sure the vaccines get to the people that need it the most. And now it's everybody. Everybody has to get it, even the little children. And that's scary stuff. How did it get there so fast? And people, it's a new thing every day, and people just hop on board and, oh, that's what we got to do now, because they said so. Like, it's all I want you to do is, when I post stuff on on Twitter or Facebook, or we have these conversations, all I want you to do is just think outside of the box, right? Like, why are we doing that? Slow down and examine what's happening. That's all I want.
Yeah. And what you're saying sounds like it's almost, I don't know, sensible, but whatever.
No,
You
it's
know.
not. It's
Uh,
insane.
Maniichi says, I'm overweight, but I'm working on it because, like the chart showed, heart disease is the #1 killer. No more processed food for me. I want to live a long, healthy life, and I took wearing a mask to get a pizza to realize I was putting my health at risk in another way. Wow, Maniichi, that's really crazy to hear, and I appreciate you sharing that. You know, like my favorite thing are the people who have the masks on, take the masks off to take a drag of their cigarette, then to put their mask back on, and then they take the mask off to blow out the cigarette smoke. You know,
Yeah.
it's like oh, okay, that makes total sense. You know, so
Right. But you got to just let them do it, right? Like, whatever, you do your thing. But like the problem is that most people just don't want you to come up to them and say, hey, you know what you need to do? You see these videos where like these crazy people are like, they wish you death. Oh, you're not going to wear a mask. Well, I hope you die of COVID. And it's a terrible thing. We've become so angry at each other. I just hope that we can slow down and examine. That's why I like the idea of pulling out the data from conversation, because it's just making us all think like, well, I think there's so much more substance. I think into just like looking at the last year like a home movie. Like you would sit down and go, well, what have we done? Let's think about what we've done and what we've been asked to do. And then you just examine it and you go, oh, that's the life we've lived. Well, it seems like it was supposed to be really, really dangerous. But a lot of people didn't really listen. We did a terrible job, but we're still here. We're not like a whole bunch of us are still here. Like, it's not like it, I feel like every one of us should know at this point, at least one or two people, like it should have came and knocking on our doorstep. But I don't know.
I do. I like I
Yeah,
said.
I mean, and
I
you do.
know. Yeah, I mean, not that I've died. Fortunately, you know, I have
Mhm.
a distant, married relative, that's down the line of somebody who died from COVID. Once again, multiple comorbidities, smoked their entire life. You know, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
it really comes down to a lot of that stuff. So.
Yeah.
And this is crazy. Chancho says, "Do you hear the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, wear different color wristbands based on whether or not they're vaccinated? This is in practice."
This is that's a whole other thing. Like, if you mention segregation, people go crazy over that. But segregation is what it is. You're separating people by group. It's medical segregation. It is crazy, and it is happening. And there's airports doing it now. And we're splitting ourselves up. And we're just, people support this idea. And it is crazy. Silverax says people should take advantage of this pandemic and work on getting themselves healthier. Um, yeah, I mean, that should have been from the get-go. That's a lot. That goes along with the mixed messaging, right? We weren't told to take care of ourselves. There wasn't any lobbying to take food, to take chemicals out of food and stuff like that. That all the junk food that we eat. Um, to reward us for getting exercise more. We all started taking walks during quarantine. Imagine how many more walks and things we would have done if they made an app for that. A walking passport.
Aiden came in with 100 bits. Says, one weird thing this summer, I've been losing weight, even though I didn't set foot in a gym for a year and a half. Reason being is me working on hot days. Right? It's amazing what happens when you go outside and you sweat a little bit, and you just spend a little, instead of hanging out in front of the computer or
Right.
being inside and being comfortable. And I think isn't that really what this has come down to? Is we have a generation that is so comfortable, that has never tasted any sort of adversity. At the first tiny little taste of adversity that they taste, that's in their life, they freak out and they duck and they cower. And that's what I feel like we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Remember when gyms everywhere were closed? Craziness. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Silver Axe is like we were told to stay inside. We were told to not get exercise. We were, like when you went to the grocery store, when everybody thought when everybody was buying toilet paper and stuff, you know what ran out at the grocery store first? Frozen pizza. That's what ran out first.
Right. Rich Monk says, we have concerts and shows coming back, but they're exclusive for vaccinated people. Right.
Yeah.
Like
the Foo Fighters did that. And then one of the Foo Fighters crew got COVID.
Like the crazy thing about this is that you see people, I see Jeff Ratterfan says, I got my 2 COVID shots. I feel fine. Still wearing masks indoors when necessary. That's it. Awesome. Do it if you feel necessary. Absolutely do it. Like, cool. Make those decisions you feel like you need to make. Love it. But when you look at the grand scheme of how everything is kind of, coming together and playing out, it's you see these cracks where people are just so open to I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm not at all. But you just see how open people are to being like, yes, I will take your free money. Yes, I will stay at home. Yes, I will take your donuts for this vaccine. Yes, I will take your $100. All of the expense of this like material shit. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've found that all of the incentives I feel like they should be looked at as insulting, like insulting our intelligence. But the argument for it is like, hey, whatever gets people on board. If they need $100, we got to get this going. It's like meeting a quota. It's like, hey, we got to get the numbers up. Got to get everybody. And it's like, you're not even listening to their stories. You just blanket, you just lump everybody together. So anyway.
Seeker Gather comes with 100 bits, says better mental health will make you healthier overall. For sure. We were talking about this before the show. We feel like pretty much everybody we know is in like a pretty tough mental cloud right now.
Right.
Just like everybody has this fog over them. Right
fatigue.
Yes, fatigue is a great mental fatigue over the last 18 months. We've all kind of been in this ongoing battle.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if you're in the chat right now, or if you're watching us later on Twitch or YouTube. Maybe we'll make that our algorithm thing. It's not a very happy question, but I'm curious. I've been curious about this for a while because I know too many people who are just kind of in a lull and a mental fatigue from everything. Is that a collective thing, or are you getting out there and are you still going at it? Are you just still pounding away? Are you staying positive about it? Or are you just kind of burnt out, ready to move on? Are you making plans for your future now?
Cliff comes in and says, buddy of mine's dad died last year, 83 with Alzheimer's. By the way, number 6 on the numbers of ways to die in the United States, ahead of COVID. Cognitive heart failure, broken hip, prostate cancer, bed sores, etc. He was asymptomatic for COVID for 3 months before he died. He was counted as a COVID death. Pissed my buddy off. 23 medical professionals told him he did not die of COVID, but it's on his death certificate.
Yep. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I knew people that worked for our city taking those case stories down and stuff, and you would hear that quite a bit. We had a young guy who died in a car wreck, and guess what they put down? COVID. Now he got on the list as COVID. Then they removed it later, but they tested him for it, and and that bumps the number up. Does it really matter at that point? He's not here anymore. It was a car wreck, but they gotta feed that number up. It's kind of crazy.
So I want to. Silver Axe says you guys got to look up the college in Ohio offering $25,000 scholarships. for vaccinated people. I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've
Ohio,
seen it.
oh, here it is right here. Wow, crazy. Ohio Wesleyan offering $25,000 in scholarships to new fully vaccinated students.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hey, whatever gets them on board, right? You can either get $25,000 in credit for what is it for college, or you can get $100 from Joe Biden cash, or you can enter a lottery in certain states, hope to win $1 million, or you can get a free donut or cheesecake. What on the scale do you fit? Maybe that's the question we should ask for the algorithm. What's it going to take? Joe Biden needs to know. This administration really needs to know, because they're coming to knock on your door at this point.
So Mandy comes in and says, you asked about like what you're doing, and how you're feeling about things. Mandy says, are you planning for the future? Are you more? Mandy says, kind of both. I'm making plans, but now I'm scared because of the Delta variant. Right.
Hmm.
I'm scared because of the Delta variant, because of what you're being told. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that being pushed through right now. I have noticed an uptick in mask wearing in my city is has been pretty laid back, and I've started to see over the last couple months less and less masks. I noticed over the last week or so, since they started really talking about the Delta variant, more masks are coming back out.
Schnitzel from Shouter came in with the $1 direct donation. Says, we're seeing how many people weren't raised with positive spiritual upbringings and how easily manipulated they are into taking the COVID vaccine. And Mike followed up with the $1 direct donation. Says, 100 bits. Says, we're living in a time where common sense is lost. It's that simple. The idea of skepticism is frowned upon. Yet the data and math point to contradict the hysteria of COVID. It is turned into blind faith into whatever the CDC or politicians say. The quote-unquote medical staff you hear on TV have a completely different view than the doctors you deal with on a day-to-day. But they can't say anything in fear of backlash. Sad times.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a bit over the last year. It's listen to the experts, but not those experts over there. Trust the doctors, not those doctors. We don't want to hear from those doctors. You don't know those doctors, but the media told you not to listen to them, so you didn't. Chancho, thank you for the $5 on YouTube. Hard times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. Our generation has been in good times. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. I mean, our generation grew up understanding and learning from World War II generation. So I think we have a respect for that.
Okay, so
And an
our
understanding.
generation, our generation grew up with Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm,
Mhm.
the Iraqi War. We were, in my college years was 9/11, probably the most significant moment
Mhm.
in my life.
Right.
Outside of marriage and kids and things like that is 9/11. So, we've experienced these things, the crash of 2008, um, and, these things, like, we've experienced them. And there's an entire generation that has not
Mhm.
experienced any sort of hardship,
Right.
and I think that's the crazy thing about this,
Yeah, if I hadn't really thought about that, but if you're born after 2000, if you were born in the late 90s, by the time you're 10 years old, you don't remember 9/11. You didn't deal with it, didn't affect you because you were a baby, right? And then
Mhm.
since 9/11, like a lot of the cultural dialogue has switched to making sure everybody's comfortable and not offended and taken care of, and that everybody's included, and that nobody has to feel oppressed or has to face any adversity, like you were talking about earlier. They've been very coddled, and to speak to that even a little further, like us as parents, we coddle our kids, we helicopter our kids, quite a bit. Um, Whereas, when we were kids, I watched a home video of us the other day with my buddy came over and we watched this video of us going trick or treating in the 90s, and there's video, and mom goes, "Hey, where are you going? All right, we'll be back later." And like I was like, "I'm going around the block," right? These days it'd be like, "All right, well, where are we going? We're going to come with you. We're going to make sure that you're not going to any houses you don't need to go to. We're going to double check your candy." We have all these safety precautions and measures. Um, and we overthink it. We helicopter our kids, but we've helicoptered an entire generation now who's growing up, and when you're 20 years old, you think you know it all. And if you're 20 years old and you've never experienced any kind of situation that made you feel uncomfortable, the moment it happens, you name call, or you cower, like you were saying. It's crazy. I guess that's another conversation.
D Tones comes in with a prime sub over on twitch.tv/stuttering Craig. Great. Thank you so much, D Tones. Really, really appreciate that. If you guys are watching this over on YouTube, head over to twitch.tv/stuttering Craig. Support your boy. That's me with a prime sub. Really appreciate that. All super chats go to Brad. Everything on Twitch comes to me. So we appreciate any and all support on those sides. Awesome stuff. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Cliff says, human beings need adversity. If they don't have it, they create their own. When COVID started, no one gave a damn about what bathroom was for them or who baked their wedding cakes. Right? It's definitely put a magnifying glass on a lot of things, for sure.
Yeah, we addressed that a little bit last week. We were talking about that's how good we have it right now, is that we're focusing on these insane, minute, irrelevant details of life to get upset about. That's how good we actually have it. It's not how are we going to eat this week?
Right.
In World War II.
What are we going to eat today? Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hal says, before cell phones, it was possible to not know where people were or even where you were, right? Right. It's funny. I was walking, we went to a little like water park today. And it's not massive or anything. It's not like a big old Hurricane Harbor. It's just kind of like a fun, smaller, thing. You could definitely get lost if you're a little kid, but it's designed more for like younger kids between the ages of like 3 and 12, right? And we were there, and we let the kids kind of just go, really for the first time. And there were times where we wouldn't see them. But we trusted that they were around. They had to have somebody with them. Obviously, we weren't just like letting them walk around by themselves. But we're there with 4 kids and cousins and together. And so we're like, okay, well, just as long as you have a buddy with you, you can go. And it was fun to kind of experience that, because I was walking around trying to gather people up. And when it was time to go, I'm just walking around trying to find people. And I was thinking to myself, I haven't done this in a long time. I haven't actually just had to like look for people. Like when was the last time you went out and you're just like,
Right.
Usually you just give them a call on their phone.
Right. Like, where are you at?
Yeah, where are you at? I'm over here. And it's a little different when you're at a water park with kids who don't have cell phones and will not have cell phones for a long time. You just have to find them. And it was actually it was really actually pretty fun. Because I trusted them to make the right decision. So
yeah. You can be one of those loudmouth parents where you're just like, Billy Joe, where are you?
Where are you at? Hey, get over here, Billy Joe. So
yeah, you get the attention of the entire water park. It's crazy. Mushy Fluff. Oh my goodness.
Look at this for Brad. Big old Brad. Woo!
Wishing you a happy birthday week. Thank you so much, Mushy. You just made my night. I appreciate that so much.
Look at that.
Beautiful. Warms my heart.
Oh, that's wonderful. Give it up for Moosh, everybody. That is excellent stuff. Wow, wow, wow. Brad feels good about that.
Hey.
Love that. It's
like getting a birthday card in the mail and being like, hey, there's money inside.
Thank you,
Moosh.
in there.
Really appreciate it.
Hey, Mike the Ref, thanks so much for the follow. I feel like we're having a good conversation, but I feel like we've had this conversation, or we're going to continue. Like, where do you go from here? And I really. Will you do me a favor? Okay, next week we're doing I'm proposing 2 things for next week. All right.
Okay.
Obviously, we're going to do the wave. We're going to do a wave watch along and commentary. We'll do that together. All right. That's the number one plan. Number two plan, which can quickly move to number one plan, is I want you to invite these people from your Twitter onto the podcast.
Oh
Like,
boy.
I legitimately
Hmm.
would love to
Yeah.
hear their perspective.
Mhm.
You know, and it doesn't need to be live. Tell them we can do it. It doesn't need to be live. But if they want to get all their friends to gang up, they can do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I legitimately would just love to hear their perspective. You know,
Mhm.
everybody has a microphone, everybody has a webcam, everybody has, you know, a way to share and talk. I want to hear their perspective. I want outside of you just go figure it out. And
Right.
I don't want to gang up on them. I do not want to gang up. I want to hear their honest perspective on why they feel that way and why you can't feel your way.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, because of science. Yeah, today was a crazy day on my Twitter. I had a lot of craziness happen. That's a story probably, I guess we're not going to be able to start right now. But some days Twitter takes a hold of what's happening. I made a tweet this morning that ended up going a little more viral. I'll tell you what happened is real quick is what a doctor had posted. We'll try to round out this show real quick. Let me pull up. Okay, this doctor had posted this, and it was starting to go viral. I saw somebody else share it, and it said, "It happened. Just tested positive for COVID. Spent all pandemic being cautious. Got swabbed often. I got 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine as soon as I had the chance. Continued to mask afterwards. Wore PPE with each patient encounter, and it still happened. I am so effing tired." And then she had another couple of tweets after that that said she blamed it on the anti-vaxxers and this was all their fault and stuff, and they're so stupid. And I was reading this to my wife Kelly, and I was like, "Hey, did you see this?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I see stuff like that all the time. They're just bot accounts or whatever." And I was like, "Really?" And I copied and pasted this, and I found that there were 4 other accounts that had posted the exact same thing. And so I had posted this as a response to her, and then this started really catching on. Now, this creates the conversation of whether or not these people are bots and trolls. As it turns out, I think a couple of these responded to it and said they were basically just parody accounts or something like that. But you can never be too careful. It's crazy. I don't know what to believe anymore, and that's the point. Is you can't just go by what you see on Twitter, and it seems like there's a lot of propaganda, and so this if this girl's story is true, these 4 just tainted it. Now, if you copy and paste it into Twitter, a whole bunch of other accounts have already pasted it. So that's crazy. Chancho, thank you so much. $25. Jeez, I'm gonna go get some dinner or something with you guys.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Brad. I am glad you won't be going quietly. I'm so happy you can have these conversations because I can't. They would threaten my job. That's the thing, man. I appreciate that comment because I found myself in a unique position, and that's one of the reasons why I've stayed on my social media accounts is those comments exactly. A lot of you can't speak up and say what you really feel because you're going to lose your job, and that's why.
That is the most fucked up
Isn't
thing.
that crazy?
That is freaking believable that you could lose your thoughts or lose your job
Right.
for that. Like that is because you go, well, I don't really know how I feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And like, who are they to decide what you should think? What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding
Right.
me? I understand the idea of like, monitoring social media and making sure that you're not, like I get that. I get that. But at the same time, you can still have your own thoughts. And that is just balls crazy to me. My God. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny. I saw the thing about Disney and I was like, the Disney making all their employees get vaccinated in the next 60 days. It's like, okay, that's like 60,000 people first and foremost, right? It's probably more. How many people does Disney
No idea.
employ? I mean, what, 100,000 maybe, right?
Mhm.
So, what my first thought was like, well, my dream of being a janitor at Disney World when I'm old is dead. Because not because I'm vaccinated or not vaccinated, not because I'm going to get the vaccination or not, because I don't want to work for a company that's going to dictate how I should live my life.
Yeah.
The type, what I should put in my body. That's more than anything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm thinking out loud here. I just had this thought. I thought, if the Biden administration is going door to door at this point, it means that all the other incentives are not working, that they have to go door to door. And then it made me think, they've got all these vaccines laying around. What are they going to do with them? Then it made me think, well, Walmart and Disney are pretty big companies. I wonder what's going on there. I'm just saying that out loud.
I don't know.
So, anyway.
Secret Gather came with 100 bits. It says, seeking the information to gather the truth. There you go, Secret Gather.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. But yeah, those Chancho, I really appreciate that because I catch a lot of flack, but I'm in a unique position. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I'm not going to a 9 to 5 every day. There are a lot of people that can't speak up right now. Now, I will say, like, I hope that more and more, if you feel like you're in a position where you can't speak up, start to exercise that right, because eventually it's going to come down to your job or your voice. I think we're heading that direction. Some of you might not agree with that, but I think that it's going to get to that point. So, you all have a voice. Use it.
223,000 people worked at Disney
Jeez.
in 2019.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's 223,000 just for gigs, right? Like 250,000 people have been told by their overlords that they have to get a vaccine. Otherwise, you will not get paid.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I will just go back to the analogy of, like, if Disney said to those 223,000 people, if you get pregnant, you cannot have an abortion. Or they said you have to have an abortion. Right? How would that fly? How could that even be close to be considered like a logical thought?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to dictate what you do to your body.
Right. And the most insane part of that is that you would have a lot of people that would say exactly what they're saying right now is, well, they're a company. It's their rules.
It's a private company. You can do
you
what
can
you
go
do.
get a different job. Yeah. It's a private company. They can do whatever they want. And that's the insane thing, is that people are lining up and siding with these gigantic companies. Like they're on like the right side of things. It's like, that doesn't seem right to me, bro. But
Tick Rule says federal workforce is like 10 times that, and Biden's going to make all of them. That's crazy. I mean, it is. It's why I say that, and I legitimately mean it. It is crazy. It is crazy, asinine, that you're letting a company dictate what you should do with your personal body in your personal life. Crazy.
Yeah, we put up with quite a bit.
I will never, like, I'm on my third business now. I will never do that. Never. Like, that is evil. Evil.
Yeah. Not to some, Craig. Not to some.
It is. It's evil. Like, I don't know what other way to say that. It's evil. It's evil that you could potentially dictate how somebody should live their life and put to
put them in that position, right? It's a rock and a hard place. Well, geez, I don't really want to do this to my body. My body. This is my thing. Imagine it's a tattoo. Everybody has to get a tattoo of our work logo on your arm, and you're like, I don't really want a tattoo of my work logo on my arm. But everybody, I have to do this, or my livelihood. The way I support my children and my wife and pay for food on the table. That's a terrible position to put people in. So
it's messy. Like, I use the word messy all the time. It's just messy. Everything about this is messy. It's gross. And there's some major moral qualms happening with this, you know, that people are being asked to deal with. You know, Cliff says, listen, my wife and I had COVID at Christmas, both vaccinated at this point as well. Pro-vaccine. I think they're amazing marvels of modern tech and medicine. But it's not as elegant as a natural vaccine. It's a novel virus. We don't know. It's not crazy to be skeptical. We made the choice for our elderly parents, but that's just it. It's a choice. And that's why we live here. Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Cliff, thank you.
Look,
I want people to like, if people like, you guys only talk to people who think like you guys. No, look, Cliff clearly he's pro-vaccine. He said, get it, go get the jab, make that choice. The key there is Cliff just make your own choice. Make your choice.
Right. That's the rational line that so many people are not walking right now. It's one side or other. Now, like Cliff says, I'm pro-vaccine. That right there is where I disagree with what's happening. You're either pro-vaccine or you're anti-vaccine. You know, a lot of the people that are being labeled anti-vaccine are just pro-choice, right? You get it if you want
to. Or
to.
just pro-discussion.
Right.
You know?
Just mind your own business, for crying out loud. You know, like, when did this become so public that everybody needs to know everybody's business? That we've got to be like, hey, when was your last, you know, colonoscopy?
You know, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre to think, when you think of like this NFL, the NFL like giving them armbands, you know, that the different color armbands. You know, like the last time that happened was Nazi Germany, where people had to wear armbands because they were Jewish.
Listen,
not exactly the best, you know.
Listen, I don't know if Ty's still on here, but you just compared it to the Holocaust, right? And we had a conversation months ago, Ty and I, how it was despicable to compare what's happening right now with the Holocaust. Now, I need to tell Ty, if you're still watching, and everybody here, I've shared this video every day since I found it. A 92-year-old Holocaust survivor spoke in Canada, okay, at a rally. And she compared this to the Holocaust. She lived it, okay? She actually said what's happening right now is worse, okay, which is mind-blowing to hear. It's the most important video I think that's out there right now. I've been sharing it every day because I think that everybody needs to listen to this for some perspective, because you may think that you know what's going on. Okay, this is a 92-year-old lady who talks about how she had to wear the star. She was spit on. She was called names. She was told she was diseased. She's still here to tell us about it. And I want this video to be seen by millions, because this is the most important thing ever. And so if you're going to get upset that people are comparing it to the Holocaust, I've got news for you. Holocaust survivors are comparing it to the Holocaust. Okay? And this is the most important thing to take. This is when you're supposed to sit up and take note and not make an excuse for what you're seeing, right? Because this is the big conversation right now. Is it over control or is it over health? Well, this lady lived it. You know, and she says, we all knew what was going to happen. You know,
I got the video. You want to watch it real quick?
Sure. We can close out the show watching it and then discuss it a little bit.
Sounds good. We'll pass on the algorithm this week because, you know, it's okay. Well, people know. People know, you know. Okay. Let me see if I can pull this really quick. Okay, here it is. Here's the video of this lady you're talking about.
I am, in fact, a survivor of the Holocaust. And the first thing I have to tell you, that even then nobody told us it was done for our own good. We all knew what was happening. And when I think today, when I see people marched, I think of the Yellow Star, which gave everybody liberty to aggress me, to insult me, to call me a carrier of disease, to spit on me even.
I love you.
I would like to tell you that this is worse. It is more insidious. It concerns more people. There is a hypocrisy in the public narrative that is absolutely unbearable. to say that we're doing this to protect the old. I would love to die in a state that gives me freedom to live in the I have already outstayed my welcome by many years, and my life expectancy is probably not great, but I would gladly exchange this for the lives and livelihoods and happiness of generations that come after me to live their lives as I have been. To have masks, to see people defile their children with masks is something totally unbearable to me.
Me too.
And I would like to say one short word about obedience. It's been said you're not allowed to obey. And if you obey someone who wants you to do evil, then you don't obey. You cooperate.
There's that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, isn't that heartbreaking? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's tough to watch.
I'm just curious to know, the people that are getting upset. Gina Carano got, ousted from her job months back because she compared this thing to the Holocaust. And we don't have very many of these people left to tell us these stories, to give us this insight and perspective. So I'm doing my best to share that every day. Thank you, Craig, for sharing it, because I just think, like, golly, sit up and listen. You might think you know everything, but I don't think you know everything.
I never thought I'd see this statement. Canada is scary right now.
Yeah.
What? Really? Like, what? And by all accounts, it looks like it is,
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre, going door to door. They're talking about that in Australia, going door to door.
Mm-hmm.
What? Going door to door to make sure people are in their houses and stuff? Like,
Well, they're talking about doing it here. That's the thing, I don't know what's taken America so long to sit up. We're just very complacent, but other countries are already doing it. That's why I put that video out. I feel like those people are not being seen or heard or reported in the media. I feel like they deserve more attention because these are record-breaking audiences or events, gatherings, protests, true peaceful protests, and they're being ignored.
There's going to be a day where they're going to need to not be peaceful. I mean, that's the reality of it. Like when you could have 100 people burning down a city, and it's labeled as peaceful, right? And but you can have 5,000 people walking through the streets chanting freedom and liberty, and nothing is done and nothing's reported on.
Hundreds of thousands in London. You look at those videos, it's astounding. And that's what I'm talking about. That was the whole crux of this episode. These events are happening everywhere. Thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, super spreader events, but we're still here. So I don't know. This maybe sharing that video is going to get this channel taken down.
Well, look, if we know, it's funny. Quizino says, "Is a civil war inevitable?" You know what I was thinking about with this? Like you've heard about this a lot. The idea of a civil war,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people have thought that it's going to be red states versus blue states, or Republican versus Democrat, or whatever here in the United States. And when you watch, I've talked about the documentary several times, the one about Twitter and Facebook, and it has the people who essentially develop these platforms saying, this is not good, and everything we built is not being used the way it's meant to be built, and it's taken over, and it's all heading towards civil war. And it's on Netflix. You can go watch it. It's a great documentary. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, which I'm sure you guys in the chat remember what it's called, but Social Dilemma. That's what it is.
Oh, right.
Right. So when you look at the kind of the nature of like civil war, I don't think it's going to be Democrat versus Republican. I think it could be vax versus non-vax. You know, it legitimately could be that. You know, the amount of distrust that you see from people who are vaccinated versus those who, you know, when you look at people who are non-vaccinated, you know, the idea that like, look, you know, I don't trust you. I was walking through a store. I was walking through a store the other day, and this lady walked in with a face mask. I don't know if she's, you know, I don't know if she's vaccinated. I don't care, you know. But she walks in with a face mask, and it was the first time in months that I've seen somebody, as we were going to meet at a cross section of a, you know, where some aisles met, and I was standing there, and she stopped, and she waited 5-6 feet away from me because she didn't want to come close to me. She didn't want to come because she feared me, you know, the guy without the mask on in the store. And it was really bizarre. It was really bizarre. And my first thought was like, I feel very sorry for you, you know, because you're living your life in absolute terror right now.
Right.
You know, and that sucks.
Yeah. Kelly had a friend that she knew that had a similar story where she was talking. Her friend had been out. She met another woman, and they were having a fine conversation. And then it came up where she was like, "Oh, have you been vaccinated?" And the lady and her friend was like, "I haven't been vaccinated. I'm not." And she's not going to get vaccinated. And the other lady was like, got extremely upset at her all of a sudden. Like, how could you be standing here talking to me and not let me know that you weren't even vaccinated? Like, it became that situation. Fine conversation, but then
Like everything was fine until you're right.
yeah. How could you be that person? You betrayed my trust. We could have been friends, but now we can't. And that's what's happening. That's the dangerous thing that's happening. And, you know, you try to have these conversations with certain people, and certainly I do online, and they just don't get it. They don't want to, you know, they just, they want the divisiveness or something, or they want to feel like they're a part of something. Vilter asked earlier, welcome Vilter. I know you came in late. Asked if I mentioned the wave. Yes, we mentioned the wave. I think we're going to watch it next week. We'll see what happens. We might do some on-air commentary for sure.
So this is, I guess, Tai in response to the Holocaust person who the lady we just watched who survived the Holocaust says, I'll respect her, but is COVID real or not? Tai, I want to be really clear. Nobody here has denied COVID isn't real. Are the vaccines working or not? Is it trying to save lives or not? If COVID is real and the death toll is real, then like, why is she comparing bigotry to something more akin to, I believe, the end of polio? Well, have you seen the bigotry of vaccinated people can go do this, but unvaccinated people can't do this? Unvaccinated people need to wear this color armband in the NFL. Vaccinated people can wear this color armband in the NFL.
Yeah, vaccinated people get in line at the airport on this side, unvaccinated on this side.
That is literally bigotry. Like, that is exactly what that is, Tai. And you can try to compartmentalize it however you want, but that is exactly what it is.
Yeah, I think the problem there is that, Tai, I really want you to think about this, is that, and anybody who challenges, you know, I want you to challenge what we're saying, but I want you to challenge yourself too. I want you to understand, like, when you have a thought that goes outside of your boundaries of what you think is right, don't jump to you're jumping to conspiracy, right? She didn't say anything about COVID not being real. You did, right? She's comparing what's happening now with her experience. She's not talking about the vaccines working. She's not. You're putting her into a box in that scenario. You're saying, well, she must be anti-COVID, or she must be saying COVID's not real, or she must be anti-vax.
I want to speak for Tai Tai. I think Tai Tai is speaking just generally, not specifically at her. I think Tai Tai is speaking just generally.
Okay.
You know, like, is COVID real or not? Right? Are the vaccines working or not? Right? And Tai Tai, once again, I don't think anybody's saying COVID is not real. I don't think anybody's saying the vaccines aren't real or they're not working. I think people are just saying that maybe you should have the opportunity to kind of look at it a little bit better and know what's going in your body a little bit more. You know, and I don't know, maybe just have it cleared before it's put in your body. You know, so
yeah, and it's just and it's still I'll still focus on what I was talking about, like putting people in labels and this whole idea that if you don't think the way that I think, I had a oh man, I wish I had a I'm gonna take some I'm gonna make a makeshift graph for you. Here we go. I had a box of candy here. I'm gonna rip it up.
Oh, please.
All right. So real quick, this is what I have experienced online. Okay, I'm gonna make it real quick here.
Okay, he's drawing it out. Well, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so here's just a little line graph. On this side, I didn't write it out, but this is everything that you believe in, right? Everything that you think is right, everything that is true. This is the facts. And on the other side is everything that you don't believe in, everything you disagree with, right? Everything right about this little corner right there, right on the other side of the line, that is where the intolerance begins for most people, and the labeling and the blocking that happens online, and just the whole judgmental thing that happens. It's like as soon as it inches over that little line, I've seen it happen over and over again. It becomes a whole new ball game where it's like you are a conspiracy theorist, anti something. I'm going to block you. You're not even worth my time. You're an idiot. You don't know the science. I've experienced it all. I've heard it all. But it's like the conversation just shuts off, right? And I think that's a problem that's happening that we need to address, is like getting those people to inch over to that side and try to start thinking and entertaining those thoughts. Even if you end up disagreeing with them anyway, entertain them, because it's another perspective. It's only going to make you either more confident in what you're thinking, or it might open up your mind to something that you didn't think of before, that you might need to know, that might make you more informed. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed this TED Talk.
There you go. Yeah, you know, Quizno says, I recall crunching numbers regarding the U.S. COVID death toll. The percentage is not even 0.25%. Quiznos, you know what's fascinating about that, right? You know, Quiznos, and if you have those numbers, feel free to bring them, right? Once again, we're not encouraging people to think that COVID's not real. We very much think it is, blah, blah. You know, I say it all a million times. But once again, if you were to look at the you know, we talked about an hour ago, we talked about on the show the number of people who have been COVID cases in the United States. They said that only one in four have been reported, right? So that gives you 120 million COVID cases in the United States. So if one in four have been reported, okay, let me actually pull this up really fast one more time. Just want to make sure that we are we're on the same page here, and this could actually give you a better idea as far as the percentage of deaths attributed to COVID. And once again, please use your own brain to figure this out. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. So 1 in 4 cases in COVID are reported. Okay, so 1 in 4. So they're saying 120 million cases there have been, right? And they're saying 1 out of every 1.3 COVID-19 deaths were reported. So that's much closer to 1 to 1, right? So they're saying there's an estimated total of 767,000 people who have died. Where if you look at this, these cases here, you know, this is that 1 of the 1.13 of the 613,000, right? This is the public number. This is the number that the CDC is saying is actual, right? Because there's the one, and here's the 1.3. Okay, everyone on the same page? Sure you are. So they're saying of that 120 million people, the 767,000 deaths. If you do the math on there, which I'll gladly do, you get the actual percentage of death, for the overall United States, which I will do that really quick while Brad talks, and that will give you a realistic example of the death rate of this disease. I mean, these are numbers on the CDC website. So let me do that really quick, and I'll let you talk to the chat.
Okay. Let's see. We had a dude in here just a minute ago. Eliminator of Evil. I don't know if he's still in here. He said, blah, blah, blah. You guys are a couple of clucking chickens, not standing up for humanity, but just rolling in disinformation, keeping the narrative alive by entertaining yourself and others. Well, I'm glad you think that we're at least entertaining. That's what I hope we are at minimum on this show. Otherwise, you're not watching us if you're not entertained. But yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, some dude rolls in, listens for 5 minutes, goes like, ah, and then leaves, and then just doesn't even want to hear it. He's like, this doesn't fit with my brain. And then we see this is where the graph comes in, is right on that other side. He tuned in, and then we said something that went right on the other side of his line.
Yeah, he's on the other side of it. And it was on the left side of it, right.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm out. You guys are dumb, without any substance. But that's the way it goes out there on the old internet.
That's right. So here you go. Here's your percentage calculator, right? Once again, your numbers. This is based off of my favorite website, percentagecalculator.net. Here we go. I use this all the time. 767,000 deaths. Here's your total number of cases. So the death rate, the overall death rate, once again, this is not broken down into, this is the wide, non-specific age groups, but this is just the overall death rate, is 0.63%, or I will round up, 0.64%. So you have a 0.64% chance of dying of COVID if you get COVID. So this is based off the CDC's numbers. So there's your stat of the day.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, Craig, I think we did it. I think we solved all of the COVID controversy on this show. I think we figured out why we're not all dead. No, we didn't answer that question. Mm-hmm. But
Real
this
quick,
is what,
Ty. Okay, hold on. I thought you had eyeballs. Those were stars. Okay, so Ty, like I said, I thought you were like, but no. Okay, continue. Yes.
No. No. I'm just wasting time. I'm just saying we did it.
we did it. Yeah, and like I said, your goal, Brad, is to get somebody on the show next week that we can talk to, that legitimately, that we can talk about here. I mean, I think
that legitimately thinks I'm an idiot.
Yeah, right. I would love to talk to them for sure. And I think you're an idiot too, and that's fine. I think that's a great thing.
Sometimes I'm an idiot. That's okay. I'm a songwriter. I'm not a scientist. And that's the difference. Is I recognize that there are other people who are not scientists who commit and double down on it. I'm just asking questions as a human. That's the thing.
You can ask questions as a human. And, I think, Ty says, I posted an article from another Holocaust survivor slamming comparisons to the Holocaust. Once again, I think you can, I was having a conversation about this, about the idea of how information is presented today. I think you can, whatever your narrative, whatever you want your narrative to be, you can present information that way, right? So one Holocaust survivor says, don't compare this to the Holocaust. Another Holocaust survivor says, this is worse than the Holocaust, right? I was reading an article where it was, I think it was like 10 football players. 10 football players all had COVID, right? And it said, and the way it was worded in they all caught COVID, and the way it was worded in the article was that one of them was not vaccinated. Now, that's 10% of the people, right? The way it should have been worded was 90% of the people who caught COVID were vaccinated, because that was the majority of people, not the one out of 10, not the 10%, you know? So once again, it's all about how you want to present the data. So,
yeah.
yes. So
Yeah, that's that's all I want you guys to do out there is sit up and think for yourselves. That's all. That's all.
You know, and Tai says, I don't know, can't we all just get along? Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. We can get. I feel like we're getting along. We're just having a conversation. You know,
that's the great thing about this show is like, look, I don't care. You know, we can have conversations and we can talk here. I don't like you any less, Tai. I don't like anybody else that's disagreed. I don't not like people because they disagree with me. It just seems like there's a lot of those people out there who don't like me or don't like Craig or don't like any other person who disagrees with them. And they're the ones that are the most loud, causing the ruckus, that are creating these little classified groups and influencing people. And so, you know, that's what I like about this show is you come in, you hang out, we chat. It doesn't matter if you disagree. Let's have that conversation, but let's not stop talking to each other because of it.
Without going
each other.
Without going another hour.
Yeah.
There's a few other chats I want to read real quick. Hogboss says, active late G1, 2006, 2011. Checked back after a near-death experience 4 weeks ago, unrelated to COVID. I'm sorry to hear that, Hogboss, but great to see you. It says, glad to see you two healthy and based. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Naroshi says, I understand being apprehensive of getting vaccinated, but where is any evidence that it's harmful? Whereas evidence shows cases down in states with more vaccinations and are spiraling up in states with low vaccinations. Also, the numbers crunch seems like a fallacy to me. 700,000 people dying from anything is terrible, right? Go ahead, Brad.
The evidence that it's harmful is you start with VAERS, okay? And everybody's downplaying VAERS, right? The VAERS is where you report your adverse reactions from the shot. Well, if you look at any graph of VAERS, you're going to see it go right in 2021 right now. And people will downplay that because for me, I think that the media is downplaying the idea of VAERS. Now, the reports to VAERS, I think, are like only 1 to 10% or something like that report to VAERS. So whatever we see on VAERS, it's astronomically more.
I don't even know what he's talking about right now, just so you know.
You don't know what the VAERS report system is?
No.
Now, the thing is, anybody can report to it, but it is looked at. Like, VAERS chart is scary. If you don't see that, then you're not looking.
I'm just gonna look. I'm just gonna Google VAERS chart.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what am I? Hold on. I'm right here. I'm gonna look at it really fast. And we're gonna look at this together. You're gonna show me this all together really fast.
Okay.
Because I don't know what I'm looking at here. So.
Okay.
And one more thing. Lavnia says, I like you guys, even if I don't agree with your COVID takes. I don't think I have a really hard take on COVID. like my take is, please, like, once again, my take is, you do what's best for you. Is that really a hard take or a take at all? I mean,
that's where the conversation should have started and ended months ago.
Right. All right. So here we go.
So,
I'm on this thing. This is the VAERS website.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been to the website in a while.
VAERS. What am I looking for? VAERS COVID chart.
VAERS vaccine.
Okay.
Chart maybe. I don't know.
All right. VAERS vaccine chart. Let's just look for images.
Maybe pull up images maybe real quick.
All right.
I don't know.
Is this the one I'm looking at?
You can pull that one up. That's fine. I don't know what we're looking at here, but I have seen this one out there. People, if you see this one out there, people will downplay it. They'll say, "Oh, that's just a nice cartoon you have there." But these are the reports of adverse reactions to vaccines over the years. And clearly, obviously, we're distributing more vaccines. So that has an effect here than years prior. But look at like how if this was a car seat, okay, for a child, if these were Amazon reviews and the negative reviews spike up when they launched a new product, right? I've seen it being compared to a car seat. If this was a car seat for a child based on its effectiveness, are you going to buy that car seat, right? You don't see the media reporting on these numbers, and there's a lot of downplaying on it. Now let's just say that the numbers aren't real and half of them are, or
Well, you
1/4 of them all. At what point do you pay attention? You know?
So real quick, Pudding Power says the Verizon website says submissions may include incomplete, inaccurate, coincidental, and unverified information because anyone can report anything they want and let it stay. Similar to Wikipedia, it sounds like Wikipedia. Susu Gamer says, by the way, longtime supporter says, how about you do what's best for others and you, not just yourself? Well, I think that's a much larger statement, right? And allow me to kind of take a step back, right? If you feel that me getting a vaccine or Jimbo over here getting a vaccine is what's best for him and others, what's not to say Jimbo telling you to say that Jimbo should be living his life and supporting the local economies and allowing the world to continue, so the world doesn't shut down, because that will hopefully benefit the greater good and affect people in a better way than him putting something into his body that he's not comfortable with. You know, there's multiple ways you can look at that. The idea of saying, well, like, you need to do this because it's better for me and you, right? And he could say, well, I'm going to do this because I feel this is better for me and you and everybody else. So, you know, I go back to this every time. Ultimately, COVID has affected a small, in the grand scheme of things, COVID has affected a small percentage of the population physically. It has affected 100% of the population emotionally and mentally, like 100%. So if I was to say what's for the greater good, I'm going to go with the thing that's affected 100% of the people, as opposed to, in this, you know, in the case of 0.6% of deaths people who get COVID, I'm going to go with the 100% as opposed to the 0.6% personally, you know? So, you know, I think it's a great question, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've been going a long time tonight. Thanks for sticking with us. If you've stuck with us, Cliff Marco says, "Is Kelly being on the podcast kind of like mom telling the kids to get out of the pool?" Kelly, my wife, is tuned in here a little bit, and she's chatting. She's one of the most knowledgeable people I know on bears, on medical freedom. She's very smart. She's brilliant. I would love to have her on the show sometime. Kelly, if you're watching out there, come on the show sometime.
Right. Just a few more things real fast. You know, I love all the comments tonight. I really do. It's great. Man in a motel says, I do find it funny seeing your guys' COVID takes being looked at as extreme when compared to the average person that checks into the motel I work at. You guys are incredibly tame. I would love to hear more about that, because I'm sure people come in and you probably get an earful from people from the different things that, you know, are mandated from your corporate office, I would imagine. Right? Yeah. So that's crazy. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, we had a situation where we were at a hotel and they had required masks. Now, we had spent the entire day prior walking around the hotel, no masks. This was months ago. Nobody said anything. We're leaving the next morning. Kelly goes to grab some snacks from the breakfast bar. The lady stops her, and nobody else is in there. And all of a sudden, the mask was the issue at that point. It was a funny situation. It was like, now we're leaving. I just want to grab an apple. She made it stink.
She made you what?
I said she made a stink.
The lady in the hotel?
The lady in the hotel did. Yeah.
That's funny.
She wouldn't let Kelly get the food from the hotel breakfast bar, even though there's nobody else there and nobody had said anything the entire time. Leaving, going out the door as we're leaving, like it was like that moment was the right time to address the situation.
Neiroshi says, I just don't get the number isn't big enough argument. Thanks for answering my question, though. I do find it interesting. I find this interesting first time watching. Well, I think, for me, once again, it comes down to this number here, right? I understand the logic that you have, your logic of saying, look, 760,000 people is a lot of people to die, right? But then when once again, that is a small percentage of people, and compared to the total number of people that live and have been affected by this thing, once again, physically, emotionally, financially, people who have lost their livelihoods because of this thing, and ridiculous decisions made by government officials. And it's crazy. And can we go back real quick? I'm sorry. I know we got to keep going, but I just feel like this conversation can continue. I feel like we're having a great conversation. But, we're talking about the cases surging, right? These cases surging in these red versus blue states, And I have not looked at this at all, by the way. So this is very, I'll be very interested to see what this is. This is the Texas, you can call them surging, right? I always go back to the deaths, okay? Popped a little bit, but nothing spectacular, right? So that's Texas. This is the total number of cases. Once again, for me, it always comes down to deaths, 100%. Cases are one thing, deaths are another. Let's just look at California real fast. I've not seen California, new cases in California. Okay, now, compared to this spike, that doesn't look like a lot. But that's very comparable to what you're seeing in Texas right now. Actually, the 7-day average is exactly the same, So, yeah, 400 different in Texas. But so to say like, hey, liberal states versus Republican states you see a different mindset. No, you're seeing that just across the United States. This is it has nothing to do with the color of the state. It has everything to do with just it's a virus, And and I hate to break it to you guys, it's going to be here. It's the whole idea of like COVID zero. It's not going to happen,
Yeah.
So
That's another problem is the absolutes. Like we're living in this world, this unrealistic world of absolutes. Like if 99.9% of everybody just does what they're told, that's never going to happen. That is the most selfish perspective I've ever seen, is that you, one person, think 99.99% of everybody else in the world needs to do what you think is right.
Real quick, and Neroshi, I'm sorry if I may have been speaking about another comment that was in and around when you first made the comment. So I may have lumped you into that. Sorry about that, but I appreciate your openness for sure. For sure, it's
yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got anything else? I mean, we've been on a journey tonight.
Let's see, real quick. Lavnia says, what death number would it take for you guys to say, okay, now we should probably shut things down? I wouldn't. We've tried it.
I would pose that same question with vaccines. We're still seeing those vaccine stories. It's clear deaths are happening. Small numbers you could compare. We've administered millions of vaccines, but thousands of people, it's fact, it's in the news, are dying from a reaction of the thoughts. What's the number, right? What's the number that makes it, maybe we should take a step back. Too many people are dying from it. So you can ask that question both ways, but it seems like we've already had a year and a half with COVID, again, how are we, we've completely derailed from my question. How are we all not dead yet? But
I thought you were still going. So
no.
Hogboss says we nearly tripled our money supply through printing in the last 16 months. Our purchasing power has been destroyed by these government actions. and things are about to get worse and soon. Val Helnell, great to see you, Val, says, working through COVID the whole time, / living with someone who's worked in nursing homes during COVID made me question everything that has been said about COVID. Elderly, sick people recovering from COVID that, quote, should have died. I started to not be scared, but annoyed at how restricted everything was. I still respected every restriction, but I felt like Michigan was being stupid with restrictions for so long. Sorry if that doesn't make sense. I'm bad at wording. Well, Val, I appreciate your input on that for sure, and I think Michigan has had a spotlight on it for sure, on how they've handled a lot of the things in their nursing homes, which is crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you speaking out. That's just to get that insight from people that are there. Not everybody's thinking the same thing. I don't know. You see a lot of back and forth. Go ahead.
Oh no, so it's just saying, Tyler DeSoy says the amount of people dying from vaccines isn't remotely comparable to the amount of people dead from COVID, though. Right, but vaccines have been pulled for less,
Yeah, for less. And that the reason I posed that question was because the question was, how many deaths does it take? And that's one of the questions that's in the wave. That's why I'm excited to watch it, because the guy's like, she's like, people are getting hurt, and the guy's like, so what if a couple people are getting hurt? It's like, well, maybe we should take a look at it. Do you want double the amount? Like, okay, so people have already died from COVID. Do you want also a whole bunch of people to die from the vaccine too? Does that make it even? Like, why does one death matter more than the other? But that's why you have to let people make their own decisions, because otherwise then the blame game starts.
All right, I know we've gone for 2 hours and 15 minutes, but there's a few other things I got to look at here.
Oh my
This is it.
You could have turned on the movie Titanic 2 hours and 15 minutes ago.
All right. Golden Child says, look at Sweden. They're not shutting down and creating mass mandates, and they're thriving. Okay, so I once again, I have not looked at these. I'm looking at these raw just with you. So let's take a look at Sweden real quick. Sweden is, obviously a much smaller situation. They have not shut down, and they're still there, right? Okay, so they're just kind of doing their thing. I remember for a while people were like, Sweden, and this is when everyone else was kind of peaking as well, So, Sweden as a country, still very low. Then I saw this one down here. I wanted to look up here. Hexafus says, look at the COVID death rates in Asian countries and compare them to NYC, Ohio, Michigan death rates. Something doesn't add up. So let's just take a look at Japan really fast and look at the number of cases. Okay, cases look like that. Once again, in comparison, you're like, whoa, crazy. But then when you look at what's the population of Japan, at 12,000 cases is a lot. Once again, let's look at the deaths. Ooh, okay. So the deaths, 20, the 7-day average is 20, right? So is that a reason why their country is literally losing $20 billion from having nobody at the Olympics? Mm-hmm. That's insane. Yeah. But whatever. Okay.
Did you have another thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Tyler says, no, I understand your point. I did just want to point that out. I hear your concern, but they've been shown to do more harm than good, more good than harm. I agree about people being allowed to make their own decisions. People just need to be smart. Yeah, for sure. And Sweet Sweet Gamer, I hope I didn't see a response from you. I would love to hear a response in regards to what your take on doing something for everybody as opposed to just yourself, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Following up, the man in a motel says, according to some of the guests that check in a motel, COVID is actually a way to hide the fact that Tupac is alive and running the country. Wild if true. Love it.
That's great.
That's outstanding stuff. Followed up with, really can't wait for this COVID stuff to be over. Had to spend a year and a half of my life in the middle of nowhere working 24/7 due to my job lost from it. I just want a normal life again. I believe in measures, but definitely relate to the frustration, right? And I think that's how the vast majority of people are, for sure.
See, I saw an article today that said vaccinated people are ready to get back to a normal life. but they're frustrated with unvaccinated people not allowing it. And that is the problem, that it keeps, regurgitating itself through our media, in our TV that we're absorbing every day, is like this divisiveness of like, oh, you don't think unvaccinated people, or, people, like, everybody wants a normal life, right? Back, everybody's sick of this by now, but we've all got to just move forward according to what we all think is the right way to move forward, without blaming everybody. Oh, I could be having a normal life right now if it wasn't for you.
Right. Well, this is nice. Polar Eclipse says, I've been lurking for an hour now. I like you guys. Hey, sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to the 5 Times August YouTube channel. Okay, all right, that's it. I'm done talking. We've been chatting for too long. The show continues next Sunday night around 9 o'clock. We do this once a week. That's why it's called Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
We used to do it every day. Now we just do it one day.
That's right.
Okay.
So look, guys, we appreciate you guys popping in tonight, being a part of the show. I very much enjoy the conversation. I love hearing point of views that I don't hear on a day-to-day basis. I think it's great. Whether I ultimately want what's best for you and what you think is best for you and your family. So whatever you feel you need to do is best for you and your family, you do it. I'm in it for the 100%, not the 0.6%. Okay. And that may sound really mean and really crude, but at the end of the day, I think the 100% number is a lot bigger than the 0.6% number. And that sucks. I know that sounds really harsh, but it's the truth. 100% is bigger than 0.6. So
there's a lot of factors going on in that statement, but I hear you. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's incredible. Ultimately,
I hope that people who have a different opinion are open just to having the conversation, because that's what this is about. Want to remind you guys, next week we're doing a watch along and commentary of The Wave, which, Brad, what is it again?
The Wave is a made-for-TV movie from 1981. You can watch it in advance if you want. It might help you prep for our show. You can look it up on YouTube. It's just an old after-school special. You can just look up The Wave 1981 on YouTube. Check it out. It's like an old, distorted VHS copy of the program, but it makes it fun to watch. It's like popping in an old VHS tape if you grew up with those. And check it out. And we'll watch it together next week and have a fun show.
Absolutely. But if for some reason Brad is able to book one of the people who thinks he is legitimately an idiot, we will do that as well. So, or we'll do that and we'll save The Wave for the following week. So
next week's show might be called, Is Brad Really an Idiot?
And I would agree. Yes, you are. There you go. All right. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are watching over at youtube.com/5timesaugust, you can watch me play video games every morning at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm playing through the NES library, and I will see you guys in just a short, about 9.5 hour break. So I'll see you guys then. Have an excellent night. And remember that people are going to try to bring you down. Do not let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. We'll see you guys later. Brad, you got anything else?
That's it. Good night. Get some rest.
Bye-bye.